My wife wants to abort our child to continue the family line of her first love. My mother knelt down and begged her, but in return, she was scolded by my wife. Julian only had this one request before he died. Why can't you fulfill it? You're so selfish. My mother was so stimulated that she had a heart attack and passed away, filled with resentment. In order to get pregnant as soon as possible, she skipped my mother's funeral and went for the surgery alone. She even posted a status on WeChat moments before the surgery: "I will paint your dream. I have no regrets in this life for you and for myself." I left a comment with a cold face: "Since you love him so much, why don't you become a family with him?" After leaving the comment, I immediately blocked Luna and went to the cemetery, holding my mother's ashes. Before the ceremony was over, Luna's father called, his tone full of anger and blame. "James, it's not Luna's fault that the child didn't develop well. You made her go for the surgery alone, and you haven't been seen for several days since she was hospitalized. Is that what a decent person would do?" Luna really went to great lengths. It's bad enough that she secretly aborted the child, but she also distorted the facts and smeared me. I took a deep breath and tried my best to suppress the anger in my heart. "Please tell Luna that I have already entrusted a lawyer to draw up a divorce agreement, and the lawyer will personally send it to the hospital." Luna grabbed the phone and scolded me with a sobbing voice. "This is related to the inheritance of a family's bloodline. Can't you be more magnanimous?" I felt as if I had heard the biggest joke in the world and couldn't help but sneer. When she aborted my child, did she ever think about the inheritance of our family's bloodline? Did she remember how many little clothes my mother knitted with pain for the child in her belly? But I was too lazy to argue with her and just said indifferently, "If you have any objections to the agreement, communicate with my lawyer. I will come back to go through the formalities with you after you sign it." After that, I didn't want to hear her response and ended the call directly. After my mother was laid to rest, I packed my luggage and flew to Hampshire. Over the years, I gave up too much for Luna, my career, my social circle, and my relatives. She couldn't stand being apart, so I gave up the promotion opportunity that I had finally won. She didn't like my friends, so I gradually cut off contact with them. She said it was difficult to get along with her mother-in-law, so I sent my mother back to our hometown. In this marriage, she was like a tyrannical ruler. She took for granted all the privileges of the beloved and consumed my emotions without any scruples. The loss of the child was like a cold blade cutting the emotional bond in my heart, making me unable to feel any love for her anymore. I knew that from then on, I would live for myself. After arriving in Hampshire, I worked closely with the HR and quickly set up the personnel structure of the new company. I led the team to start from scratch, and it has now grown to more than 20 people and brought millions of business to the company. The efforts during this period rekindled my passion and motivation for work. It turned out that without Luna's constraints, every day was so free and full of possibilities. During this time, I kept in touch with my lawyer. He also did his best and submitted the divorce agreement to Luna many times. But Luna always found various excuses to shirk and didn't give a positive response. I was prepared for a long battle and asked the lawyer to first submit a divorce application to the court. 2 months later, I flew back to Shinshin and was ready to attend the court session the next day. On the way back, a friend sent me a screenshot of Luna's WeChat moments. "Even if the world doesn't understand, I will still cling to my original intention." The picture attached was a close photo of Julian holding flowers and Luna. If it were before, I would have been so angry that my face turned pale and would have had an argument with Luna. However, now, when I saw these things, I felt nothing inside. I treated it indifferently, as if I was watching someone else's joke. It was already late at night when I got home. As soon as I opened the door, Luna sat on the sofa with her arms crossed, looking at me with red eyes. "James, how dare you block me? Why did you leave Shining without saying a word and stay away for 2 months? Do I need to report to you when I block you or go somewhere? Why are you looking for me? I'm just getting in the way of your love affair with Julian," I replied indifferently. Blocking her was nothing compared to what I had persevered with in the past. I dragged my suitcase inside and saw the red roses that Julian gave to Luna were conspicuously placed on the dining table. "The roses he gave you are quite nice, but I advise you not to put them in my house. My mother passed away not long ago, and everything should be kept simple." Luna's face turned pale instantly, as if she just realized that my mother died because of her anger. I glanced at her indifferently. "Go to bed early. We have to go to court early tomorrow morning." Luna was stunned for a moment and looked at me with a frown. "Do you really have to go this far?" "I promise, after Julian's child is born, I'll have one for you. Besides, I just had the surgery. How can you still want a divorce from me at this time? Were all your previous tenderness and love just an act?" Her way of thinking was always unpredictable. It seemed that the child in her belly was something dispensable, and she could freely decide whether to keep it or not. Luna seemed to have forgotten that my mother only had 1 year to live, and she was looking forward to the child's birth more than anyone else. She gritted her teeth through chemotherapy and took the unpalatable medicine just to live until the day she could see the child. Unexpectedly, her only hope was brutally cut off by Luna. I looked at her mockingly. "Did I ask you to have the surgery? You're almost being intimate with Julian. Do you think I would still want you?" "I'm not the one who thinks you're dirty, but I find it disgusting." The main reason why my mother was so angry that she died was that she learned that Luna planned to have a child for Julian through natural conception. Luna looked at me in disbelief. "Haven't you understood after more than a year of preparing for pregnancy? A child conceived naturally is the smartest. Since I'm going to have a child for Julian, I definitely have to choose the best way. Besides, it was just 1 or 2 times. Do you really have to mind so much?" I was so angry at Luna's shameless words that I laughed, and my determination to get a divorce became even stronger. "It doesn't matter if I mind or not. Solve everything tomorrow, and you can have a whole brood for Julian if you want. I'll sleep in the guest room tonight." My words seemed to ignite the anger in her heart. She stared at me with wide eyes, pointed at me angrily, and said in a sharp and firm voice, "You said this, James. You'd better not regret it." I thought that after last night's argument, Luna could feel my determination to get a divorce. Unexpectedly, as soon as I opened my eyes, I found her getting into my bed in revealing clothes and looking at me coquettously. "If you still mind the natural conception method, I can consider artificial insemination. The child will still be yours." I was so disgusted by her crazy behavior that I felt sick and ran to the bathroom, retching. After I finished washing up, she brought a beautifully arranged breakfast to me and looked at me ingratiatingly. "I made this breakfast specially for you. Have a taste." We've been together for 7 years, and this was the first time she got up early to make breakfast for me. In the past, I would have been moved to tears. But now, I just found her deliberate flattery annoying. I turned my body to avoid it and went into the kitchen to make a bucket of instant noodles. Luna looked at me as if she was hurt and choked. "I've already made concessions. What else do you want?" I gave her a cold look. "I just want a divorce." Luna threw the breakfast in her hand into the trash can and ran into the room crying. In the past, I would have gone in and coaxed her like a servant, but now I didn't want to. After quickly finishing my breakfast, I first went to the cemetery to visit my mother and then rushed to the court. Before the court session, I planned to handle all the matters well this time and go back to Hisher to work with peace of mind. But I never expected that Luna submitted a diagnosis report confirming her pregnancy to the judge. And on this ground, she rejected my divorce request. I was so angry at Luna's shamelessness that I gritted my teeth and pointed out in front of everyone that the child was not mine and filed for divorce again. Luna submitted a video. She looked at me disappointedly. "James, clearly a month ago, you and I were still intimate at home. Why do you say the child isn't yours? Do you really hate me that much? Are you really going to resort to any means to get a divorce and smear me?" Her expression and tone made it seem like I was a heinous villain. The figure of the man in the video did indeed resemble me about 7 or 8 out of 10, but I knew for sure that it wasn't me. I was speechless in my defense, and the judge rejected my divorce application on the grounds that the woman was pregnant. Before leaving the court, Luna blocked me in the parking lot. "James, if you're not going home, where are you going? I'm pregnant, and I need your care." I was already in a bad mood, and Luna's words made me extremely angry. I stared at Luna, my anger burning fiercely in my heart. "Luna, do you think I'm some kind of pathetic person? What the hell does your pregnancy have to do with me? Go find Julian to take care of you." Upon hearing my words, Luna's face instantly turned pale. How can you say such a thing? I just hope you can stay by my side, care about me, and take care of me." I looked at Luna's self-righteous appearance and couldn't help but feel a little amused. She still thought that I would fawn over her just because of a single sentence. She was so naive. I remembered how 2 months ago I had knelt in front of her and begged her to keep the child, and how resolutely she had refused me. Now she thought that I would change my attitude just because of her words. It was ridiculous. "Luna, do you still think I'm the same person I was 2 months ago?" I sneered. "Luna, have you forgotten you killed our child and drove my mother to death? How can you have the nerve to ask me to do anything for you? Do you think you still deserve it?" Luna's face instantly turned ugly. She stared at me with wide eyes, as if she couldn't believe I would say such a thing. I sneered disdainfully, turned around, and walked towards the other side, ignoring her. All my plans were disrupted, and I could only return to Hisher in advance to continue working. A week later, the receptionist led Luna into my office. I was so startled that I felt like I had seen a ghost. "Luna, how did you end up here?" Luna's smile had a hint of playfulness. She waved the lunchbox in her hand. "I was afraid you wouldn't eat well, so I specially came to take care of you." "Are you surprised?" In the past, she would occasionally create some surprises. At that time, I adored her playful appearance and felt that loving her for a lifetime wasn't enough. But ever since Julian came back, I had never seen such surprises or that smile again. Looking at that playfulness that once made my heart flutter, now only felt a chill run down my spine. Nausea and anger welled up in my chest, and I gritted my teeth and scolded Luna. "Are you addicted to acting? Do you think I'll be touched if you play the role of a virtuous wife and good mother?" I pointed at her belly, looking as if I wanted to tear her apart. "Pay attention to your prenatal education. You come to deliver food to me with that bastard in your belly. Even if you don't find it disgusting, I do." Luna seemed to be stung by my words. A trace of pain and confusion flashed in her eyes. "As your wife, is there anything wrong with bringing you food? How can you treat me like this?" I looked at her with a solemn face and asked word for word, "Luna, what on earth do you want?" She stepped forward and tugged at my sleeve, pleading in a low voice. "I can't live without you. After the baby is born, we can go back to the way we were before. Okay? Just the thought of living without you in the future makes me unable to sleep at night. James, have you ever loved me from the beginning to the end?" I interrupted her sharply. "Did you ever think of me when you were enjoying yourself under Julian?" Luna's face was filled with embarrassment. Her lips trembled slightly, and she wanted to open her mouth to defend herself, but it was as if her throat was blocked, and she couldn't say a word. I pointed at the lunchbox on the table and said firmly, "Take it away. Stop obsessing over these meaningless things." Seeing that I was giving her the order to leave, Luna asked eagerly, "Wait, what on earth do I have to do for you to give up on divorcing me?" This question took me by surprise because I had never considered giving up the divorce. Ever since Luna aborted our child, this marriage had already existed in name only. Seeing that I remained silent, Luna seemed to have made up her mind. What if I abort this child?" "There's no what if. Since you aborted our child, our fate has already ended," I answered without hesitation. In my opinion, she couldn't possibly make such a decision. Julian's position in her heart was deeply rooted. Besides, Julian was still alive, and she couldn't possibly get rid of his child without his consent. The reason she asked such a question was just to try to figure out my feelings and see if I still had the slightest bit of affection for her. Luna suddenly burst into tears, sobbing uncontrollably. "I just wanted to leave a child for Julian. You used to agree to everything I asked. I thought this time you would also agree to it." "Yes, I used to agree to everything she asked. On our 5th anniversary, I had a high fever that wouldn't subside, but she insisted on having a unique anniversary. Despite my physical discomfort, I reserved her favorite restaurant, prepared a surprise for her with my own hands, and carefully selected the gift she had always wanted. However, I spent a long and lonely night in the restaurant, and she never showed up. On that day, my body was so weakened by the high fever that I finally fainted in the restaurant. She didn't arrive until the next afternoon and explained to me that Julian's cat was sick, and she had spent the whole night taking care of the cat at Julian's house. From beginning to end, my feelings seemed to have become less important. Luna was still choking, her shoulders trembling, looking extremely vulnerable. In the past, I couldn't stand to see her cry the most. Whenever I saw her eyes turn red, my heart would ache as if it were being torn apart. I couldn't wait to hold her in my arms and gently wipe away her tears. But now, I understand that some people are destined not to change. I handed her a tissue and placed it in front of her. "Wipe your tears yourself. You're still pregnant, so don't run around. Go back to Xinjiang." "No, I'm not going back," Luna suddenly hugged me. "Don't drive me away, okay?" Her body exuded a faint warmth, and occasionally, I could smell that familiar and nostalgic faint fragrance, but now I just frowned, pushed away the hand she had tightly wrapped around me, and walked out of the office without looking back. I didn't expect that, in order to avoid the divorce, Luna would expose me on the internet. Julian would update his anti-cancer videos on his social media account every day. With his handsome appearance, tragic background, and resolute spirit, Julian had gained a lot of fans. At this moment, Julian was live streaming and being interviewed by a certain video channel. Julian's voice came from the phone. "Luna has done a lot for me, and I feel very guilty." Luna was wearing the little white dress that Julian gave her and stood beside Julian, holding his hand, looking like a loving couple. At this time, the reporter handed the microphone to Luna and asked sharply, "Miss Luna, Mr. Julian said that you aborted the 3-month-old child in your belly for him. Is that true?" Luna's face froze. She glanced at Julian nervously. "Julian, did you say that too?" Julian looked at Luna eagerly. "Yes, you've done so many things for me, and I must let everyone know how good you are." Julian's parents were also there, praising Luna to the skies, saying that Luna was a modern living bodhisattva who was saving their family's bloodline. Luna was moved by them, and her eyes instantly turned red. "You guys really understand how good I am." She looked at the camera firmly. Actually, the child wasn't healthy either. After discussing with my family, I made the decision to have the surgery. But my husband doesn't understand me. He thinks I deliberately aborted the child, and he has been insisting on a divorce from me during this period. I know he minds, so I decided to use artificial insemination to leave a descendant for Julian. But I didn't expect that even with my concessions, I still couldn't get his forgiveness. Just a few days ago, despite my weak body, I went to Hisher to make peace with him, but he kicked me out of his office. James, if you're watching this video, please think twice. Don't divorce me, okay? I really love you. And Julian chimed in beside her. "Mr. James, Luna and I are truly innocent. Please don't misunderstand us. Luna has been crying ever since she came back. I feel so sorry for her when I see it." I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Julian had reaped a lot of benefits with his anti-cancer persona, and this time he was trying to create public opinion to make himself more popular again. And Luna was like a naive girl rushing to offer herself up. But they forgot that netizens weren't so easy to deceive. Despite their distortion of the facts and their random statements, the shrewd netizens quickly figured out the whole story. They left comments in the live stream one after another. "No way. Just because you say the child wasn't healthy doesn't mean it was. Do you have any relevant reports?" I agree with the comment above. If the child was really unhealthy, her husband wouldn't have disagreed. She must have deliberately hidden it. Damn. Does artificial insemination mean it's not cheating? Your PUA talk is quite novel, describing cheating in such a fresh and refined way. I really have my eyes opened. Julian panicked when he saw the netizens' comments and closed the livestream with a lousy excuse. After watching the farce, I sent the livestream recording screen to my lawyer. Such powerful evidence couldn't be wasted. Although Julian's live stream didn't last long, it still caused a certain amount of buzz. I was dug up by netizens and became the cuckold that everyone knew about. The looks my colleagues and clients gave me were filled with an indescribable mix of sympathy and understanding. I had to issue a statement on my personal social media account. Going through the divorce procedures, I have calmly accepted everything. Congratulations to them on having a precious child, and I wish them an early marriage. Not long after I sent out the statement, Luna's father called. "James, Luna was so angry with you that she ended up in the hospital. Hurry back here now." Originally, I didn't want to pay attention to them. Julian was enough to take care of Luna in the hospital. But considering that the second trial was approaching and there were quite a few people who wanted to see my house these days, I packed my luggage and went back early. Accompanied by my lawyer, I went to the hospital. When I arrived, Luna's father stopped me outside the ward with a look of displeasure. "It's not that I'm criticizing you, but Luna just had an abortion and is pregnant again. Don't you feel any pity for her at all?" I glanced at Luna's father and said in a flat tone, "Uncle, don't you know that the child she's carrying is someone else's?" Luna's father was directly stunned and stared blankly at me. My lawyer was very observant and pulled Luna's father aside to explain the whole story to him. Only then did he suddenly realize that Luna had been lying to them. A look of helplessness appeared on Luna's father's face. He looked at me and sighed. "James, I'm sorry. I didn't know." I raised my hand to interrupt him and walked into the ward. Luna's mother was feeding Luna porridge. "Husband, when Luna saw me, she immediately put on a pitiful expression. The doctor said I was in too much of a hurry, so the embryo implantation isn't very good. Recently, I've been cyberbullied by others, and I'm very anxious. It might have an impact on the baby." "What does that have to do with me?" I didn't show any emotion and just nodded. "Oh, then you should pay attention to getting some rest." Luna's mother was immediately unhappy. She slapped the hospital bed and stood up to glare at me. "How much suffering has Luna endured since she married you? When she had the abortion, your mother had just passed away, and we could understand that you weren't by her side. But now she's pregnant again, and you're still not around. Are you even a man?" I gave her a sidelong glance. "Auntie, which man can accept his wife having a child for someone else?" Luna's mother was like a lit stick of dynamite. She pointed at my forehead and shouted, "You don't have the ability to keep your wife in line. Who else can you blame for this?" I was too lazy to beat around the bush with them and just came clean. I only blame myself for not divorcing Luna earlier. Then my mother wouldn't have been so angry that she died. "Luna, if you still have some regard for our 7 years of relationship, you better sign the divorce papers quickly when the court is in session in a few days." "James, do you really have to be so heartless?" There was a look of disbelief in Luna's eyes, and her voice trembled slightly. "Is our 7-year marriage going to end so easily? You can't put all the blame for your mother's death on me." Clearly, her life was already coming to an end. I took a deep breath and tried my best to stay calm. "Luna, it's not that I'm heartless, but you've never been serious enough about our marriage. From the moment you aborted the child without my consent, you should have known that there's no chance for us anymore." I remembered the days when Julian first returned to the country. Luna was like a lost soul. She always created various opportunities to be alone with Julian, taking care of him meticulously and attending to every detail. I still remember that time when I was under so much work pressure that my body had serious problems, and I could hardly live a normal life. I called her, hoping she could come back and take care of me. However, she told me that she was having dinner with Julian and asked me to take care of myself. At that moment, my heart seemed to be torn apart, and I felt an unprecedented sense of loneliness and helplessness. There were many, many such things. They were like sharp knives stabbing into my heart, gradually wearing away my trust and affection for her. And the matter of the child was the last straw that broke the camel's back. "If you mind Julian's existence, don't worry. He's dying. He only has half a year left to live. Are you happy now?" Luna straightened her chest, feeling nervous inside. Her face turned from white to red, and she defended herself in a hoarse and trembling voice. "If I had a choice, I would definitely let our child be born first. But Julian only has half a year left. He can't wait. Can't you understand me? You can only divorce me over my dead body." I was suddenly both amused and annoyed by her stubbornness and completely lost my patience to argue with her any further. "Luna, don't think that just because you're pregnant, I can't do anything about it. The worst-case scenario is that after the child is born, I'll apply for a paternity test. Once the results are out, the judge will still grant our divorce." After I finished speaking, I turned around and left the room. Before the second trial, the lawyer submitted the latest evidence we had collected. Luna had no way to defend herself this time and could only admit that the child in her belly was Julian's. "Judge, what I did was a good deed. Why are you siding with James? Why can't any of you understand me?" Everyone present looked at her with strange looks, as if they were looking at a complete lunatic. The moment I got the divorce certificate, I couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Luna, however, looked at the divorce certificate in her hand with a blank and dazed expression, as if she had lost her soul. She tried to smile but could only force a bitter smile. "I feel like a joke. I used to think that no matter how much I misbehaved, you would forgive me. But now," her voice gradually choked up, and tears welled up in her eyes. "I couldn't help but sneer. Love is equal. No one should sacrifice everything for another person." Luna was about to say something else, but I picked up my phone and waved it in front of her. "I'm really busy now. I'm leaving." She stared deeply at my retreating back. Perhaps she still couldn't get used to the fact that I was no longer revolving around her. It took me a week to say goodbye to Shinshin. Once, I decided to stay here for Luna. Now, I was leaving for the same reason. When packing my luggage, I found the little sweater that my mother had carefully knitted for the child who had never been born. I couldn't help but burst into tears. Looking back, everything had changed. The night before I left Shinang, I gathered all my friends to celebrate my rebirth and liberation. Those friends who had drifted away because of Luna warmly hugged me when they saw me. "Bro, long time no see. Congratulations on regaining your freedom. Great. You've finally gotten rid of that shackle that bound you. This divorce is a good thing. You deserve a better life." That night, they poured out all the things they didn't dare to say or couldn't say before. I also laughed at myself and used humor to diffuse the stupid things I had done over the years. After dinner, everyone still wanted to continue, and they all suggested going to the next place. Since I had nothing to worry about, I naturally wouldn't dampen everyone's spirits. I led the group to the most famous KTV in Shining. When we reached the lobby, we ran into Julian, who was supposed to be in the hospital. He was hugging a young woman affectionately, and there was no sign of the illness he showed during the livestream in his behavior. He was clearly taken aback when he saw me, but he quickly regained his composure and passed me by gracefully. My friends all stopped to watch and marveled. "Damn, he's about to die, but he can still go out to pick up girls." Damn, is it really so romantic to die under a woman's skirt? I originally wanted to privately remind Luna, but then I quickly dismissed the idea. Respect other people's fates and don't interfere in other people's karma. After returning to Haising, I immediately threw myself into the intense work. My friends in Xinjiang often thought of me. They either introduced me to potential partners or told me some gossip about Luna. The incident that night still reached Luna's ears, and she had a big argument with Julian in the hospital. Julian thought he had completely controlled Luna and didn't bother to pretend anymore. He directly came clean with Luna. I'm almost dying. Do you expect me to be faithful to you? Are you kidding me? I'm not a fool like James. Don't you understand the importance of seizing the day? You go home and take good care of your pregnancy. If you make my precious child suffer any harm, I'll hold you accountable. Even Julian's parents changed their previous grateful attitude and started yelling at Luna. What's wrong with a man having some fun outside as long as he has you in his heart? That's enough. To be honest, it's your fault that Julian is like this. You didn't serve him well. Luna was so angry that she was rushed to the emergency room, and she lost the baby. And because Luna had 2 induced abortions in a short period of time, she completely lost the qualification to be a mother. After hearing this, I couldn't help but sigh. At first, when Julian broke up with Luna, he disliked that Luna's family was poor and turned around to embrace a senior schoolmate who came from a good family but had an ordinary appearance. Later, when he was dumped by the senior schoolmate and found that Luna was living a better life than him, he came crawling back and tried every means to take advantage of Luna. Luna didn't learn her lesson. She didn't listen to my dissuasion and, despite being married, got involved with Julian again. There is a saying that what is more terrifying than a first love is a first love that comes back from the dead. After learning that Julian didn't have much time left, Luna cried herself to sleep every night. At that moment, I realized that Julian's position in her heart was far more important than mine. But now she was hurt by Julian again, and the pain cut deep. The next time I saw Luna was 2 months later. When the receptionist girl led me downstairs, Luna was already surrounded by a crowd. I saw Luna wearing the wedding dress I bought for her and holding a bouquet of roses. This scene reminded me of the day when she proposed to me. James, will you marry me? James, can you forgive me? Memories overlapped with reality. What remained the same was that it was still Luna who spoke. She walked through the crowd and slowly approached me, her face beaming with anticipation and longing. James, give me another chance to love you, okay? I didn't say anything and just looked at her silently. Suddenly, Luna knelt down on one knee in front of me and slowly raised the ring she had prepared. After going through so many things, I finally realized that you are the one I can truly rely on. I know I did a lot of things that hurt you before. And I also know that these things may be impossible to make up for. But please, for the sake of our years of relationship, forgive me just this once and give me a chance to atone for my sins. I swear that I will love you well in the future, just like you loved me in the past. James, please marry me again. Okay? Luna's actions touched the onlookers, and many people spoke up for her. Son, the girl is being so proactive. Don't be so reserved. Yeah. In the face of life and death, everything else is insignificant. The most important thing is to seize the moment. I couldn't help but sneer. They didn't know that I had lost 2 loved ones in one day. And the culprit was now standing on the moral high ground, trying to morally kidnap me with public opinion. We're already divorced. You should go home. Thank you for finally realizing how much I've given to you over the years. Unfortunately, it's all too late now. Suddenly, I felt a chill. It turned out that raindrops started falling on my face. The sky suddenly turned gloomy, and it started raining without any warning. The originally gathered crowd quickly dispersed because of the rain, and soon only Luna and I were left in the square. We stood there in the rain, letting the rain soak our clothes. The bouquet of flowers in Luna's hand was also wet by the rain. The petals were covered with mud, and it lost its original freshness. And this bouquet of flowers was just like the love between us. From the moment it was drenched by the rain, the beautiful memories between us, like these withered petals, gradually faded away in the wind. James, is there really no chance for us anymore? Luna choked up and asked. The rain mixed with tears streamed down her cheeks, blurring her once clear features. I was silent for a moment and finally nodded helplessly. Yes, it's all over between us. You should let go of the past and face your future life properly. A trace of sorrow flashed in Luna's eyes. She slowly squatted down, and the hem of her wedding dress exuded a desolate atmosphere in the mud. I looked at her, feeling a mix of emotions. We once loved each other deeply, but her betrayal made everything irreversible. Good, you. You actually had an affair behind my son's back. A furious rebuke came, and a middle-aged couple holding an umbrella quickly walked towards Luna. Luna looked at them, pale-faced, and quickly got up to hide behind me. It was Julian's parents. I was surprised that they had followed Luna to Hisher. I saw Julian's mother step forward and pinch Luna hard, glaring at us viciously. Your husband is lying in the hospital bed, waiting to be taken care of, and here you are, flirting with your ex-husband. Julian's father didn't say anything, but his eyes looking at Luna were full of great dissatisfaction. Luna winced in pain, but her hands still clung tightly to the hem of my clothes. James, save me. They want to take me back. Hearing her words, I couldn't help but frown and took out my phone, ready to call the police. Julian's father slapped my phone out of my hand and pointed at me threateningly. This is our family business. Mind your own business. I turned to look at Luna. Do you need me to call the police? Luna hesitated and glanced at me. It would be so bad if it gets to the police station. Julian will be very sad if he knows about it. I couldn't help but smile bitterly. Even at this point, she still cared about Julian's feelings. Okay then, I'll go back first. I gently pushed Luna's hand away and walked slowly towards the entrance of the building. Luna's cries still echoed behind me, but I ignored them and walked straight towards the elevator. Luna was taken back to Shinshin by Julian's parents and had to feed Julian, wipe his body, and take care of his toilet needs. During this period, Luna's parents went to the hospital and tried to forcefully take Luna home. But Luna, contrary to her usual behavior, refused her parents and claimed that she would take care of Julian until the day he died. You are so mean. You couldn't bear any hardship when you were with James. But now you're working as a free nurse. Luna's mother was angry at her and pointed at Luna's forehead, scolding her. You're so wrong. What can I do? He doesn't want a divorce. What can I do? Luna covered her face and started crying. I know I was wrong, but there's no medicine for regret in this world. If I don't take care of him, he'll expose me on the internet and let people cyberbully me. Woo, woo, Luna's parents left in a rage, and Luna continued to serve Julian like a slave. On the day Julian died, Luna sent me a text message. I went to the cemetery to visit Auntie and said a lot of sorry to her. Sorry, I wish you happiness. I didn't reply and deleted the message. 3 years later, I took my wife, who was 5 months pregnant, back to Shinshin and visited my mother at the cemetery. Isabella stroked her belly and said softly, Mom, James showed me the little clothes you knitted. They're all very beautiful. I stood beside her and gently stroked the stray hair on her forehead. Mom, Isabella treats me very well. Don't worry. When we were leaving, we met Luna. She stood in front of me, holding a bouquet of flowers, staring blankly at the hands Isabella and I were holding tightly. I pulled Isabella to the side to make way for her. Wife, be careful of your belly. Hearing my words, Luna's eyes filled with tears, and she slowly walked into the cemetery. Luna, I softly called out to her. Thank you for often coming to visit my mother, but she told me in a dream that you were disturbing her. Luna was stunned. After a moment of silence, she said in a low voice, Okay, this is the last time. Since then, Luna never went to the cemetery again. My mother finally had peace, and she stopped coming to me in my dreams. It was only on the day my child was born that I dreamed of her. She was holding a child and waving at me from a distance. Son, I'm taking this poor little one to be reincarnated. Take care of yourself.